What would you say to an oil company?
In 1998, two giant energy companies, British Petroleum and Amoco, merged. The new company, now called simply BP, underwent a massive rebranding effort. In 2001, the company launched an ad campaign called BP on the Street.
I'd like to know exactly what they're doing about the environment.
Are you going to clean up the air for us?
Shouldn't they be trying to give us a better product, a cleaner burning product?
This was a new type of campaign for BP. It was an image campaign. Rather than selling a specific product, the goal of the campaign was to improve public perception of the company.
BP was reintroducing itself as a brand into the US and really wanted to reposition itself as a different kind of energy company, to convey to consumers that we were not part of what is a very negatively perceived oil industry. BP as an energy company is responsible for providing energy to allow people to have heat, light, and mobility. But there's a cost to doing that, an environmental cost, and BP was the first company to publicly recognize that there was an impact to its activities, and we were also the first company to take precautionary steps against the impact of global warming.
To provide someone the audience could relate to, the ads focused on the concerns of real people.
Today, people are really cynical about advertising, and particularly cynical about advertising around the oil companies. We recognize that, and so we chose to use real people in unscripted situations to really try and cut through that cynicism.
We are the only ones on the planet who can understand that we are destroying it, and we are the only ones on the planet.
To keep the ads relevant and to provide a cohesive view of the company, BP developed a series of proof points. These are examples of what BP has done and is doing to address the concerns raised in the ads. Although BP is a global company, the ads were initially launched in a handful of target cities. In the fall of 2001, television spots appeared in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and London.
Since this was a unique campaign for BP and a little bit risky, we wanted to test the campaign locally. This allows us to test and retest and make improvements so that the campaign could be the best it could be. When we first ran the campaign, we had some criticism internally and externally that the campaign came across as a bit negative. The ads were provocative, which we wanted, but they were also quite negative, which we didn't want. We took some of that out and came back to the core of our brand, which is a sense of optimism.
BP also made some adjustments in its target audience. Rather than trying to reach everyone, BP now targets an audience it calls opinion formers.
They're about the top 10 or 14% of the population. They vote, they read publications like Time, Newsweek, Business Week, they watch CNN, they may write to their congressman, they probably complain at stores. They're also seen as people who are leaders by their peers. And so, for instance, a lot of their circle of influence would come to them and ask them opinions, and hopefully, in particular, about energy companies. So targeting these opinion formers allowed us to target a fairly broad audience very efficiently.
In 2004, BP launched the BP on the Street campaign throughout the United States. In 2005, the campaign went global.
The US's track record of success was seen by a number of other countries within our network as potentially an opportunity to improve their image. And now we're running a BP on the Street or BP on the Street-like campaign in many other countries, including the UK and China and Germany. So we were actually able to leverage international outlets like CNN Worldwide, BBC Worldwide, and The Economist, print and TV and online, to reach English-speaking opinion formers across the globe.
BP continues to adjust and refine the campaign to keep it relevant.
In order to keep the campaign fresh, we look at adding new creative and new proof points every year or so. The proof points are intended to reflect not only what's happening in the outside world, but what's happening within BP. So for instance, in 2005, we launched a major new business called BP Alternative Energy that's focused on low or no carbon power solutions, and that became immediately reflected in the campaign. One of the things we do is try and match the time period with the message. So for instance, in the fall, we'll talk a lot about natural gas, and in the summer, we'll talk about our cleaner fuels.
Warum setzt BP auf Aral?
Some changes are necessary to reflect local tastes.
Übernommen worden sind, da finde ich es doch schon sehr erstaunlich, dass BP hingeht.
For instance, global warming is much more accepted in the UK than it is here in the US, where it's a bit of a newer topic. We've also had some sort of interesting regional dynamics. For instance, while the US and the UK accept people on the street, In Germany, they need to be experts on the street.
Die Einhüllentanker haben in der Vergangenheit durch Unfälle schon so viel Schaden angerichtet, dass es Gott sei Dank jetzt gesetzlich festgelegt ist, im Jahre 2010 weltweit die Einhüllentanker durch Doppelhüllentanker zu ersetzen.
We have also noticed that in the US, the UK accent is quite sophisticated and quite accepted, but the same cannot be said for the US accent in the UK.
The On the Street campaign continues to be a success for BP.
We have met all of the campaign metrics that we had set for this campaign, but some of the more positive measures that I really enjoy receiving are letters we receive on bp.com, where people talk about our campaign as being a little bit different and unusual and compelling, and actually lead them to make choices that favor us in their consumer lives.
In order to be successful, an ad campaign must set clear goals. It must know its target audience and have a simple and repeatable message. Finally, a company must be able to track the success of its campaign. By sticking to these basic lessons, BP has developed an ad campaign that continues to reflect its mission and be relevant to its target audience.